Once upon a time, Bayless was one of Clark's biggest critics. Yeah, that's right. So how did Bayless suddenly become one of Clark's staunchest supporters? And why is the WNBA acting like Clark's success is a problem? We'll answer those and more in this video. Are you ready? Let's go.
Skinny white girl was the best thing that ever happened to the WNBA. She's already the most exciting and entertaining player in the league, the entire league, the one you can't take your eyes off of.
Caitlin Clark's ascent to Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year for 2024 should have been a moment of celebration for women's basketball. Instead, it sparked a firestorm of controversy that's left the sports world reeling. You'd think everyone would be cheering for this historic moment, the first time a WNBA player has clinched this prestigious title. But no, some folks had other ideas. Enter Sheila Johnson, co-owner of the Washington Mystics. She came out swinging, criticizing Time's decision in a way that caught everyone off guard.
Johnson said she did not agree with Time Magazine making Caitlin Clark the first ever WNBA player to be Athlete of the Year, and with putting Caitlin Clark on the cover. Johnson said the entire WNBA should have been chosen as the League of the Year and that numerous stars should have been put on the cover.
Johnson argued that singling out Clark was a mistake. In her view, the entire WNBA deserved this recognition, not just one player. She didn't stop there, though. Johnson went on to claim that focusing on Clark could create hard feelings among other players in the league.
She said the WNBA has a long legacy of black stars and that, and I quote, "Something clicked with the WNBA last year because of the draft. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese," as in, of course, Chicago's Angel Reese. Johnson said, and I quote, "There's so much talent out there that's unrecognized, and I don't think we can pin it on just one player. When you single out one, it creates hard feelings," end of quote.
But wait, it gets even more complicated. Johnson took it even further, hinting at racial undertones in the situation. She expressed concern for players of color, who she believes are equally talented but haven't received the same level of recognition. Johnson argued that the media's portrayal of race in sports was making this problem worse.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen.
Here's where things get really wild. Johnson's own team, the Mystics, has actually benefited from Clark's popularity. Games featuring Clark's team, the Fever, have seen record attendance. So Johnson's criticism seems to fly in the face of the very success her team is enjoying thanks to Clark's star power.
Ready for the ultimate irony about what Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark? Last season, for Caitlin Clark's 2 visits to Washington, the Mystics moved the games from their little home arena, which seats a little under 5,000, to the Wizards Arena, which officially seats 20,356. And thanks to Caitlin Clark, Sheila Johnson's Mystics drew the WNBA's biggest crowd of the year and the WNBA's 3rd biggest crowd of the year.
Bayless isn't known for pulling punches, and he certainly didn't hold back here.
So the Mystics went from about 5,000, averaging about 5,000 for all their other home games, to an average of 20,500 for the 2 Caitlin visits. What? I mean, Sheila Johnson should, I don't know, at least send Caitlin some flowers, because she never gives her any flowers in interviews for sure. But no way should Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark alone be on the cover of Time, or so Sheila indicated, and I say baloney to that.
She took control of the narrative. In a bold and groundbreaking interview with Time Magazine, where she was named Athlete of the Year for 2024, she dropped a truth bomb that sent the media and the world into a frenzy.
Feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass.
In a world where accountability is often ignored, Caitlin Clark dared to admit that her success wasn't just about her relentless work ethic. It was also shaped by the privileges she was born with. And if you think that was the end of it, buckle up, because Clark wasn't stopping there.
Favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing Black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important.
Clark used her platform to shine a light on others. She acknowledged the foundational role that Black athletes like Maya Moore played in shaping the WNBA, highlighting how their contributions were instrumental in getting the league to where it is today.
Things stemming from Caitlin Clark's Time magazine interview, I could have never guessed that that interview would stir up so much controversy.
And the world, well, they didn't quite know what to do with her. Some saw her words as a breath of fresh air, an athlete who wasn't afraid to tackle the tough issues head on. Others, however, weren't ready for this conversation and lashed out.
The players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism.
Her unparalleled court vision and revolutionary passing ability elevated her game to a new level, making everyone around her better with every play. She transformed the Iowa Hawkeyes into must-watch television, captivating audiences and redefining what it means to dominate the court. Caitlin Clark's games weren't just selling out arenas, they were shattering viewing records. The 2024 NCAA Championship game drew an astounding 18.7 million viewers, surpassing the audience for many NBA and NFL games. She wasn't just a basketball player anymore, she had become a cultural phenomenon.
Decision to make, right? Like maybe in any other year, you give this to Simone Biles, because I think her comeback in the Olympics was amazing. I mean, people pretty much did the postscript on her career. And after what happened to her in Tokyo, like, it's incredible. However, I mean, we've never, ever seen somebody in this way capture an audience, capture a new audience, and be able to absolutely attribute.
What truly sets Clark apart is more than her ability to score from anywhere on the court, it's her relentless competitive fire. In practices, she would often stay late perfecting her signature step-back three-pointer. Her coaches later revealed that she frequently arrived hours before scheduled practices, tirelessly working on her game while most people were still asleep. Clark's influence on college basketball extended far beyond her personal achievements. She inspired a movement redefining the sport and showing what's possible with hard work, talent, and an unyielding passion for greatness. Jersey sales skyrocketed, ticket prices soared, and young girls across the country began mimicking Caitlin Clark's iconic playing style. Basketball camps saw record enrollments with aspiring players eager to learn how to shoot like her. Clark wasn't just a star on the court, she was a role model and an inspiration, igniting a new wave of enthusiasm for women's basketball. People don't just listen to her, they buy into her.
The reality is that, as from a marketing perspective, Caitlin Clark is worth more than almost any pro basketball player in the world.
Then there are her endorsement deals, which are in a league of their own. Nike, Wilson, State Farm, the big players in the game have all thrown their hats into the ring. Nike reportedly signed her for millions, and they didn't even need a pitch. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to convince anyone of her worth, her name does all the talking. State Farm probably broke their advertising budget just to have her appear in one of those quirky commercials. Wilson, the iconic basketball brand, practically wrote her a blank check. Each deal cements her position not just as a player, but as a global icon. The WNBA just got brutally exposed after Caitlin Clark's insane ticket sales were leaked. Turns out she generates 25% of ticket sales, merchandise, and TV ratings. Clark is basically the WNBA's walking stimulus package, bringing in millions for the league. Yet, despite all the revenue she helps generate, she's only making $76,000 a year. Let that sink in. The WNBA has a gold mine in Clark, but they're paying her like she's working the concession stand. It's a harsh reality. They might not have noticed, but Caitlin Clark doesn't just play basketball, she changes the game. Whether the league likes it or not, the fans are here for her. The numbers don't lie, and neither does the passion she brings to the court. So, WNBA, it's time to wake up, pay her, celebrate her, or watch her take her talents elsewhere. And we all know who would be losing in that scenario. Last season, Caitlin Clark didn't just play basketball, she transformed it into a national event. From sold-out arenas to skyrocketing viewership, the numbers were jaw-dropping. The Indiana Fever's home opener tickets hit $271 for the cheapest seat, more expensive than 29 out of 30 NBA teams' openers. Yes, you read that right. Caitlin Clark playing in a WNBA game generated more buzz than the NBA's biggest stars. For context, $271 could get you a decent seat at an NBA game or nosebleeds at a Caitlin Clark showcase. Talk about priorities. It's not just ticket prices. Clark reportedly added $36 million in revenue for the city of Indianapolis alone since being drafted. Let's be clear, that's not just the team, that's the city, restaurants, hotels, local businesses. They're all cashing in. Meanwhile, Clark herself gets pocket change compared to her impact. Fans are scratching their heads, wondering how the league justifies paying her the same as players who, respectfully, couldn't sell out a high school gym. Social media exploded when it was revealed that Caitlin Clark is responsible for 25% of the WNBA's total revenue. One player, 25%. The reaction was a mix of awe, outrage, and sarcasm. Comments like "Clark is the reason this league is still afloat." And how does she not have her own private jet by now started flooding in? But the WNBA's response? Crickets. Let's not forget the TV ratings. When Clark played, her games often drew more viewers than marquee NBA matchups. For example, one of her college games pulled in 3.2 million viewers, outpacing a Warriors vs. Celtics clash at 3 million. Yes, women's basketball outperformed the NBA, but instead of celebrating this monumental shift, critics and even some WNBA players found reasons to hate. The numbers don't lie, but the league sure does. The WNBA wants to act like its success is the result of collective growth, but let's be real, it's Caitlin Clark dragging the league forward, kicking and screaming. Without her, those TV ratings plummet, those ticket sales nosedive, and those merchandise profits evaporate. The league should be bending over backward to keep her happy, not sticking to antiquated pay structures that scream, "We don't actually value you." Fans aren't blind to this nonsense. Social media is flooded with calls for change. People are pointing out the absurdity of her paycheck compared to her impact. It's not just about fairness, it's about business. You don't underpay the person responsible for your survival. That's not just bad optics, it's bad math. But apparently, the WNBA is too busy patting itself on the back for incremental growth to notice. The league is playing a dangerous game. If they don't adapt, they risk losing not just Clark, but the entire momentum she's created. Players like her aren't a dime a dozen, they're once-in-a-generation talents who can redefine a sport. If the WNBA doesn't figure out a way to pay her what she's worth, or at least close to it, don't be surprised if other leagues or opportunities come calling. And when that happens, the WNBA will have no one to blame but itself. Caitlin Clark, the rookie, drops a bombshell after making $10 million off the court. The basketball phenom, who's making less than the cost of a decent SUV in her first year on the court, has turned her modest paycheck into a PR goldmine. While others are sweating over their 9-to-5 grind, Caitlin is cashing six-figure checks just to show up and talk. And get this, some brands are willing to fork over more than the price of a house and fly her across the country just to have her grace their stage, while the WNBA throws her peanuts. Caitlin Clark has turned her off-the-court presence into a financial empire, stacking up $10 million in the process. Yes, that's right, the rookie everyone felt sorry for has more zeros in her bank account than some seasoned NBA veterans. For Clark, the transition from college to the WNBA wasn't just about showcasing her skills, it was about proving that she belonged at the highest level of the game. Critics like Swoops doubted Caitlin Clark's ability to handle the physicality and pace of the professional game, but Clark didn't just meet expectations, she shattered them. Her adaptability against defenses, ability to play through contact, and knack for making clutch plays in critical moments showcased a level of maturity rarely seen in first-year players. Swoop's initial critique of Clark wasn't limited to her playing style, she also questioned Clark's ability to lead a team, suggesting that her individual success might come at the expense of team cohesion. Once again, Clark defied expectations. Her unselfish play and ability to rally her teammates became one of the Fever's greatest strengths, solidifying her role as both a star player and a team leader. Whether it was her chemistry with veterans like Kelsey Mitchell or her mentorship of younger players, Caitlin Clark proved she was more than just a scorer, she was a leader. As the season progressed and Clark's impact became undeniable, Swoop shifted her narrative, focusing on other aspects of Clark's game while avoiding direct acknowledgement of her earlier predictions. This wasn't the first time Swoop's comments had missed the mark, but the stark contrast between her words and Clark's reality only added to the drama surrounding the ongoing feud. Clark's rookie campaign wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a pivotal moment for the Indiana Fever. After years of struggling to find an identity, the team finally had a star who could carry them into a new era. Her hunger to improve, combined with her relentless work ethic, made her a natural fit for White's vision. Caitlin isn't just a great player, she's a cornerstone for the future, White emphasized, cementing her importance to the team's future success. Stephanie White's tenure as the Indiana Fever head coach came with lofty expectations. After years of underperformance, the franchise needed more than just a tactical overhaul, they needed a cultural reset. From day one, White made it clear that her focus extended beyond X's and O's. She wanted to create a winning mentality, build trust within the locker room, and establish a team-first ethos. This philosophy became even more critical in the wake of Sheryl Swoopes' pointed criticisms of the Fever's organization. Swoopes painted a picture of discord, suggesting that players were unhappy and eager to leave. Her claims included sharp critiques of the Fever's management and coaching approach, alleging that the team failed to recognize talent and foster loyalty. Caitlin's hunger to improve is unmatched, White shared. She's not just looking to score points, she's looking to make everyone around her better. White also made it a priority to integrate Clark into the team's existing structure without alienating veteran players like Kelsey Mitchell. Swoopes had criticized the Fever for their handling of Mitchell, an unrestricted free agent who had just come off a stellar season. White, however, was quick to highlight Mitchell's significance to the team's success, emphasizing her role in the team's continued growth and stability. Ensuring that Mitchell's contributions were both recognized and celebrated, White's balanced approach helped to dispel any notion of favoritism and reinforce the team's unity beyond individual relationships. She also addressed broader organizational changes that were essential for the Fever's resurgence. White implemented more rigorous training sessions, introduced analytics-driven game plans, and prioritized mental conditioning to prepare players for high-pressure situations.